What's up, everyone? It's Roger and Abe here from the DisKingdom Infinity and Beyond podcast, episode number 81. And on this week's show, we're going to be discussing Alice in Wonderland. We're going to be discussing Kingdom Hearts and all that and more coming up. Okay, so let's jump into it. So you might notice a little bit of a difference today. So we have Abe there in sunny California. Hi, Abe.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going, guys? And also we have a special guest this week. Spencer is joining us.
Hey guys, it is not sunny or California where I live.
This is dark, dingy room.
Yeah, the dark, dingy dungeons of Kansas. It's what happens when you move a couple of states and time zones over.
So Spencer's joining us this week, and we are going to be going through all of this week's Disney Infinity news. So first off, Spencer, before we get into anything, you just want to give us a brief kind of introduction to who you are, kind of introduce yourself to the viewers, etc.
Yeah, sure. If no one has ever heard of me before, join everyone else in the world. So yeah, basically, at least in terms of my Infinity kind of history, real quick summary is ignored the game for like all of 1.0 and 2.0, and then randomly I found out about JV on a live stream on GameTrailers.com, rest in peace. And basically, through just JV's charisma and the fact that 2.0 came to Vita, I ended up, in the matter of from the game releasing in May to 3.0, collecting all of the figures in like 3 months. Which was not easy, but ended up happening, and then has kind of just spiraled into this becoming like, oh, hey, I really like Infinity, as to like, oh my god, I like Infinity way more than I should.
That Vita version was really good, and I must admit, I'm definitely in that zone of, I would love to see kind of the toy box version of that on the Vita as well. But let's jump straight into the news today, which is the Alice in Wonderland kind of came through on a French Disney magazine. So I'm going to now try to butcher the pronunciation. It was Invenda Plus, or Invilda Plus, which was an official Disney magazine, and it said that Alice on the other side of the mirror to the cinema on June the 1st. Find Alice, the Mad Hatter, and time in the video game Disney Infinity 3.0. Well, that was a Google translation, so it's not entirely right. But it looks like we're going to be getting Alice, Mad Hatter, and time in the game. Perfect timing with this. So this kind of brings up this question of, is this just toy box only, or is it going to be a playset? So let's throw this over to Abe first. What do you think of this news?
It's interesting. Definitely the time part, at least, kind of threw me off. We all expect a little bit of Alice and Mad Hatter action coming eventually. As far as playset, I doubt it. I don't think so. I mean, I think it's coming away from the whole at least 5-figure formula that they've developed for playsets now. I mean, even though Force Awakens was 4, I mean, you can still play with absolutely every single Star Wars character. So technically, that kind of goes out the window. But definitely toy box only. I obviously, with the inclusion of time, makes us believe that we're definitely going to get the modern versions of these characters, which I don't mind. I'm just hoping that at least Alice is in her traditional blue and white dress as opposed to the new colorful one that's going to be in this movie, because I don't like it.
So what did you think of this and these the Alice figures and stuff?
On one hand, I was really surprised, and then on the other hand, I was like, oh wait, I always forget that the whatever year the Alice reboot came out, the Tim Burton one, that one, everyone always forgets, made crazy money internationally and still does really, really good for some reason. I don't know what it is about that movie, but it just does really well. So to see them kind of merchandise on the fact that, like, with the new movie coming out, they'd want some, like, figures to kind of come out, on top of the fact that, like, I think Alice in Wonderland really holds a special place in not only a lot of like Disney fans' hearts, but like there is a really big just Alice in Wonderland kind of just like cult following that still exists, and like throughout different mediums, like whether it be like mythology, literature, like buffs, or even just like people who really like those like American McGee Alice games, like different stuff like that. Like I know there are people who will buy anything Alice, and I think it's almost crazy that Infinity waited this long, but I think they've wanted to do Alice for a really long time, but because like this movie, the movie coming out, Into the Looking Glass, has been in kind of development, like glue for so long, like they've just like not really been able to move anywhere. In terms of the figures, I'm excited that they're happening. In terms of whether it be the movie ones or the classic ones, I hope we get both in some way, shape, or form, whether it be costume disc or whatever. Just it'll be cool to have them. And I think it's actually funny now. A lot of people have been talking about the designs. Is I wanted to see what you guys thought. Who are you hoping voices Alice and well, I guess the whole cast of it? Do you guys want the like cast that Disney usually brings in for like cartoons and Kingdom Hearts, or do you want them to bring the people from the movies in? Because personally, I would love like all the different like kind of like more cartoonier ones they do for like cartoons and Kingdom Hearts and stuff. Voice actors, I think they'd fit a little better, even if they did the like movie design. Because people, I think, when they hear they're worried the movie design is going to happen in Infinity, they imagine Johnny Depp's face will be in it, but they kind of like forget like, hey, Johnny Depp's already been in the game like twice already. You don't look at like Tonto and go, oh, that's a Johnny Depp toy. Like it looks like Tonto.
See, for me, it'll be Johnny Depp will be the whichever actor they get in for the last ones. The other two are probably cheap enough they can bring him in. It's basically going to come down.
So, are you saying Sacha Baron Cohen doesn't bring in those top
Sasha
dollars?
Won't do it.
Yeah,
Sasha won't do it.
No.
Hey, if he can do Hugo, he'll do anything.
Yeah, I think it's more about the fact that they'll get them to do a lot of these lines now when they're filming the movies and stuff. I don't know if they'll get the full casting because it costs too much money. But see, for me, with the playset idea, it was more like, well, if you look at the movies coming out, we've got The Jungle Book, Alice Through the Looking Glass, and Finding Dory. Now, in some ways, we know we've got a Disney set coming. The Jungle Book has got a slight issue with the fact that, A, we know Baloo is a toy box only character, but also you've only really got King Louie and Mowgli that can stand on 2 feet because they can't do the quadrupeds. If they haven't worked out the swimming for Finding Dory, that as an entirely different kind of thing with the toy box. So therefore, Alice is the only one that fits in two-legged, works solidly as in terms of those 3 movies. And so that's the kind of I was not surprised when I saw this news, because it was like, well, it makes perfect sense. There's a big movie. It made a ton of money the first time around. There's a lot of love for Alice in Wonderland. Now, for me, I'm going to be honest, the generic Alice doesn't really make too much difference, because once they make her into an Alice into a figure format, she's a female. She's going to look kind of quite generic anyway. So therefore, if you've got the original Alice or the newer version, it's kind of going to be pretty similar. There's not going to be too much different. It just depends on the dress, and I think they'll probably go with that original dress. Mad Hatter is the only one really that kind of jumps out there. Johnny Depp and the animated one are so different looking wise. They are. It's not like Alice where it's just a girl. There is a massive difference. But I think the Johnny Depp version looks so. I think they're going to go with a new version. I just think that, and also they're going after kids now. The kids that are watching this stuff now, not the 60, 70-year-old movie, which I don't think have got. It's the same thing for the kids. The kids will know these movies now. I don't know what you think there, Abe.
No, I agree with you there. I mean, again, it only makes sense to bring in a modern version of Alice in Wonderland. Even though the traditional garment of Alice still may be worn in this movie for the beginning, you never know. Like, this could be like her everyday clothing thing. So who knows? But the fact that we have time coming, that shows you that, yeah, this is definitely going to be the modern versions of these figures. So yeah, no, I'm cool with it. I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to have the classic look, but I mean, this is Disney Infinity. Disney Infinity is now. They work on what is current, what's modern. I mean, the only reason why they went with classic Baloo is because a generic-looking bear would not be a great-looking figure anyways. You would probably want the classic Baloo look. But,
well, you know, Abe, I actually heard for the voice of Baloo, is a little bit of an exclusive. They actually got the bear from The Revenant to actually come and do all of his lines.
Oh, jeez. Anyway. Jonah Hill is coming? Is that what it is? Anyways, what I was going to say is it's good that they're bringing in these classic Alice and Mad Hatter looks from the Tim Burton original. I mean, that'd be cool if they did. But even if they incorporated the newer, hourglass look, then it's fine. Time is going to be an interesting looking figure. I'm still not crazy about the character in general. I guess I want to see more, but Sasha is awesome, so it's going to be interesting. Oh, and finally, to answer Spencer's question, I honestly think, as far as voiceover goes, a lot of people don't know this, but James Arnold Taylor does voiceover for not only Obi-Wan Kenobi, but he actually does voiceover for Ewan McGregor and Johnny Depp in any of his movies. So, like, if they recorded dialogue in whatever movie, and they're like, no, we want to dub over it and get some voiceover off of it, and if the actual actor can't do it, they'll call James Arnold Taylor, and he'll do the voiceover for them as the voice of those actors. So it could be that we have James Arnold Taylor doing Mad Hatter if they can't afford Johnny Depp. So it'll be interesting.
I'm just interested to see what Borat's going to look like in Disney Infinity. That's the real thing. And Bruno. And they're like, that's nice.
We're gonna have the green Speedo costume disc. You're gonna have to go to the conventions. Make sure you're 18 plus to even use it.
Don't give Daniel from Infinity Codes any ideas, because we just.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely
being made at this moment.
It's definitely, I think it's one of those cool things. It just feels just so odd this year to be thinking, like, we've got Marvel Battlegrounds coming out in over a month, which we still haven't had officially kind of released in the information on Baloo, Black Panther, Ant-Man, and we still haven't heard anything on that. And then now we've got these new figures coming in, and it's like last year was so quiet, and now we've still got 2 play sets to come. We've got so much coming in. It's quite interesting.
You know what, Roger? I think Spencer and I were talking about this earlier, but we should have like a little lottery pool going on and see when they're going to finally announce these figures. So everybody who's listening to this, comment below the actual day that they announce it. Make sure you comment it before, and if you do, if you guess the correct date, we'll probably send you something special. I don't know.
I will go as far to say is if somebody can actually, like, during this week actually guess the correct day to the time, I will buy you and send you Marvel Battlegrounds. If you can actually get it to like be done, I will. I mean, to be fair, it's $20 now, and then with like a 20% off discount, it's a little less impressive. But still, I mean, like the fact that it was saying we were talking about, it's like Disney on Twitter is like so cheeky about this. Like, I just want to like slap them sometimes. Like, people will just send them pictures of Baloo, and they'll reply back saying, "Looks convincing to me." Like, who does that? Like, that's basically like if, let's say, the next Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs leaked, and there's like 30-minute gameplay trailer that leaked like a month early, and then Ubisoft retweets it and goes, "That looks cool."
February 22nd. That's my guess. February 22nd. Yeah.
Well, I think
announce it.
I think it'll be next Tuesday, because we've got the Tron game coming out this week.
That Disney won't talk about.
No, there's kind of they only put up on the YouTube channel and IGN. That's basically the only thing. I don't know, because I especially think with all the Lego stuff that's been coming out the last couple of weeks, I think they've had to keep away from that. Toy Fair is on at the minute, so there's lots and lots of announcements from different people coming out. So I don't know if we'll get anything there, but you got to be thinking that a new trailer with these characters is going to be coming soon. Baloo needs to be his own separate trailer again, so that's kind of even if they just did the Ant-Man and then they did Baloo the following week or something, you'd think they'd try and kind of spread it in, but who knows? Unless they were waiting to do Baloo with Alice and kind of do like a big Disney reveal kind of thing. Very odd, very very odd that we kind of still this close to it and not know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to guess, and this is gonna just because Disney Infinity is Disney Infinity. I am betting either, and this is like a 2-part one, it's a leap year, what are there, 28 days or 29 days this month?
29.
Yeah.
I'm betting the 29th or March 1st, the day we get those Zootopia figures, we're going to get a press release the morning after, like, they release saying, "Whoa, look where these Marvel, Star Wars, and Disney figures came from. Who saw that?"
February 22nd. That's my guess.
Yeah,
that's not this week. It's the following.
Yeah, so I think that would be kind of sliding around because I think because we haven't really even had obviously they're gonna get the Zootopia figures out on the on in like 2-3 weeks time, and they'll probably want to do a trailer and kind of push them for a couple of weeks. So it's just so great to be sitting here in middle of February, and we got figures coming, play sets coming that we don't know about. You know, this time last year we were in the official drought. We had 2 more figures to come. That was it. And we were just, everyone was waiting on the Star Wars announcement. Everyone was. This year feels very, very different. It's just, you know, to be having a French Disney magazine talking about a Disney Infinity stuff coming in June, and then we know we got Peter Pan coming after that. Quite just very odd, isn't it?
It's extremely odd. It's out of the ordinary. But like you said, you know, earlier with the announcement of Battlegrounds. You know, the normal formula has been thrown out the window. I mean, this is different. I mean, now that we have DLC stuff now as well, it's all different. But going back on what we were talking about as far as when, I think they're going to do the 22nd, because on the 21st we have that awesome ABC special where they're going to be announcing all the details of Disneyland, all that stuff. And, you know, there's a lot of cool things in Launch Bay that talk about Disney Infinity as well in there. I'm thinking, you know, they're going to ride that train and say, since Disney's going to be announcing new stuff, I feel like the following day is going to be Disney Infinity's turn. But,
or even put the trailer in the show. That could be a cool way of doing it.
Well, see, there you go. I mean, there's more possibilities there. But as far as the Alice in Wonderland figures, because I hope they don't do what they did with the Marvel characters, which is absolutely nothing. I mean, this leaked. The Disney magazine leaked it. I think they should at least just say, you know what, they know it's coming, let's just advertise it now, not just say, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, we saw nothing, you know, come on, just tell us.
Even the French,
you know, it's coming June. And
even the French Disney Infinity official site said announcements coming through, and then quickly they all got deleted. I mean, they were like, okay, this is not just normal.
And by the way, just go ahead and announce the Finding Dory and the Star Wars Rebels playsets. Just announce both of those, because they're gonna happen. Just do it. They already figured out swimming. I know it. If you don't believe me, just go into your hub and stand in the lake. You'll see one of those little townspeople go for a swim. They've totally figured it out. So just go ahead and just announce them already. Just let us know. It's gonna come. So. Or even Moana. Clump Moana and Finding Dory. Make a playset. Make them work together. It'll be perfect.
Wait, you know, maybe if you play your cards right, the second Ultimate Unlock, after all of the 3.0 stuff happens, maybe that'll be swimming. If you buy every character, you unlock swimming.
See, the thing is, speaking of Maui, did you see the action figures that we put up on the website?
At Toy Fair, yeah.
That Maui figure, that is, I just saw that and went, that's an Infinity figure.
Maui, definitely.
He is, and if he isn't, he should be.
Well, it goes back to
You've got 6 months, 7, 8 months, get on it.
No, yeah, it goes back to D23 when we were at the animation panel, and Bill Simmons, Disney Nerd Dad, once we saw the reveal of Moana and Maui together, we're like, no, he was the one that said, dude, those are the Disney Infinity poses, those are the figures. It's like, yeah, I can see that. That's totally it.
I think it's going to be an interesting thing. Now. Bringing up that Ultimate Unlock, since Spencer brought it up, JV put out a tweet saying that basically all the launch Marvel characters would be included to unlock it. Now, originally I think it was back at D23 or on one of the Toy Box Live, some kind of things, they said you needed all of the 2015 figures. Well, obviously the 2015 figures, well, Boba Fett still isn't out in the US, therefore hadn't quite unlocked yet. But we all assumed that Zootopia figures were going to be the unlock because they're the final kind of launch characters that were in the game when we got the game back in October. And now they've kind of shifted it. Now you're going to have to get the Marvel ones. And then it's like, is Baloo included? Are they changing the goalpost? Did you see this, Abe?
Yeah, I definitely saw it. I believe it, and honestly, to be honest with you, I have a feeling it has to do with the fact that I don't think the Keyblade's in the game right now. I honestly think it's definitely going to be patched in. That's probably why they're doing it up until the Marvel characters. And I don't want to say or explain exactly what it is that we did, but all I have to say is that Spencer and I have looked for it and we haven't found it. So clearly, it's not in the game.
Well, I will say this. My only guess as to why they pushed it back is, and I hope this is the real reason, or at the very least they come out and correct it, is they wanted the Keyblade to just be the same as the lightsaber in 1.0. They wanted it to be something really, really cool and have it just be like swish, 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 insta kill everything. But I think that at a certain point they might have realized that there's so much that could be done with this thing that's never been done with any other weapon and would make an ultimate unlock really, really special. So on top of it, maybe having particle effects that the Kingdom Key has, in the game come out, that would be something cool and very easy to add. On top of the fact that even in the one teaser image we've seen of it, there's kind of magic sparks coming out of it, that you always see happen. What if it's the first melee weapon that also can be used as a projectile and stuff? Different things like that. There's so much they could do with this. Even something and this is totally off the walls crazy. What if it was something as amazing as, now Abe, you're gonna get really, really mad at me for this,
Okay.
that there's a meter that builds up when you use it, and if you fill it up all the way, or if while equipping it and use your special meter, instead of using your normal special, every character can hold up the Keyblade and they summon Sora to fight with them for a small amount of time as the meter drains.
All I'm going to say is you're going to be very disappointed. I think you're getting your hopes up a little bit there. It's going to be just it'll be like Ups K. You just whack them. That's it. That'll be it.
What's going to happen is you're going to hold up the Keyblade. Sora's going to come out. Donald and Goofy will both come out, and they're going to be Kingdom Hearts forever. There we go. There's the sound effect I wanted. No, to be honest with you, when you load the King Mickey Power Disc, if you pay attention to when the costume is changing, you can notice there's these little black spark effects coming out of him before he becomes King Mickey, and I think that has to do with the darkness from Kingdom Hearts. And I think that's as far as they're going to go with the Keyblade. The Keyblade will have those little special effects. There's not going to be any meter or anything like that. But, all in all, just to finish this up for the Keyblade at least, I'm just happy it's finally going to be unlockable, because then all the Kingdom Hearts fans can be happy that they have something from Kingdom Hearts, and we can all move on, because that's all we're ever going to see.
They won't be happy. They won't be happy, dude. You are aware that they're going to have to buy hundreds of dollars worth of figures to then get this one thing. It's not like they're handing them out like candy.
Sora will not happen
You get a Keyblade?
because they have an awesome game called Kingdom Hearts 3, not 2.8 or 2.9 or half and squared.
You know what? If Infinity is really, really cheeky, and they finally do make, and Abe, it is going to happen, the Kingdom Hearts playset, I would give them so much money to have the cojones to call the playset Disney Infinity Kingdom Hearts 2.9 something something something.
It's not going to happen because Kingdom Hearts plays so differently. To actually replicate it in Disney Infinity would be, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah. See, I don't think necessarily that. I think there will be something Kingdom Hearts in there eventually.
Toys.
I think
Abe, you've only played the PS2 ones. As someone who's played every single iteration of that series, they have gone in so many different weird genres. I played Kingdom Hearts as a Mario Party ripoff, a kart racer ripoff, and just a social app ripoff. They can go in so many dumb directions you don't even know.
I love Kingdom Hearts, but it's not going to happen. But anyways, Roger, finish your sentence. Sorry, we didn't mean to cut you off.
I think we are going to see a Kingdom Hearts playset at some point. Maybe. They can kind of they can bring all the characters in. It can be a completely open play set for all of the Disney stuff. It's going to get Kingdom Hearts into another audience. They can do, and with the amount of time, Kingdom Hearts 3, they've pretty much now just said, right, there's no news coming. We've got 2.8 final chapter prologue HD 2.8 thing coming later on. It would make sense to do it. They can bring all the Disney characters in, and they can even do it as an expansion game of some kind, and it will bring a lot of people in from the Kingdom Hearts universe into the game even more so. There's a lot of money to be made.
Look, all I'll say is this. First off, I love Kingdom Hearts like crazy. I have the original games. I do have the other games that Spencer talks about. I just don't play them as much. Just 1 and 2, have always been my favorite. I'm never gonna, all these little like chain of memories, and then they bring in these cards and all these different things. Don't care. Anyways, so let me say this. I love Kingdom Hearts. I love it. I love it. Love it. The fact that they incorporated the Keyblade, awesome. We have a Paradis, and eventually we'll see some toys. And again, people may hate me because I'm going to say this, but for all the everybody who's crying about, oh, we want more Kingdom Hearts, we want more Kingdom Hearts, this is all I'll do. Is if anybody has seen Reservoir Dogs, it's this.
Oh.
I'm sorry, guys. I love Kingdom Hearts, but it's a separate video game. Disney Infinity is about promoting their what do you call it? All their properties. They have their movies. They have all their classics. And you guys got to think about it. Kingdom Hearts is not just Disney characters. It's also Square Enix characters. This is a different entity. It's crazy. It's
the
not
only
gonna
thing
work
is,
the same way.
do you remember that lightsaber in 1.0 unlock? And everyone,
Yes.
Everyone blowing everyone's minds. Like, if you went forward now, it's right. Here's the lineup in 2016 of all your Star Wars figures that you're going to get in 2 years' time. Is this Keyblade a hint, or is it literally just a completely red herring to send you off on a completely wrong direction?
This is basically, hey, we already did Marvel. We are doing Star Wars this year. Oh, what are we gonna do next? I guess we can do a Keyblade, since people have been saying, oh yeah, we like Kingdom Hearts. Let's do a Keyblade. Guess what? The year after that, guess what's gonna happen? We can have something like a whip from Indiana Jones, or we can have
that would be so lame in comparison. No one would be that excited about Indy's whip, and I love Indiana Jones.
Because you guys gotta understand, when 1.0 came out, the formula is different. If you guys play 1.0, then play 2.0, C3, and then 3.0, you'll see the drastic changes. Nothing was figured out. I mean, we had Mickey released in the costume change disc. You know what I mean? Like, before Marvel, we would have had if Marvel was out before, we would have had a regular Mickey and a Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey as a costume disc. Because they didn't know what they were doing in the first one, all the way to what the second one was. Oh, we have costume change disc. Now the possibilities are endless. But guess what? 3.0, they've toned down on the costume. On Power Disc in general. So will we even get costume change disc? It's just like the formula keeps changing, unless they decide to create the first Disney Infinity figure that works like an amiibo, where you can use it on your Kingdom Hearts game. Then I'll see Sora coming. Other than that, doubt it.
See, I just think in terms of this like costume change stuff, I think they're just more likely to go, no, make a variant figure. I think now they've just gone past the point. They can make more money on these variant figures than they can on Power Disc. Yeah. But I think this is this thing with the game is, and I keep coming back to this a lot, is I don't think we're getting 4.0 in that same respect of what we've been still getting in the same game. I think this year's going to be different. I think we've said before, you've got to throw that stuff in the air, all the rules, because I don't think this year's going to work the same way as before. I don't think that 4.0 is going to hit the same way that it did this year. I think a Kingdom, I think, a Indiana Jones would be a great unlock, but if we're talking about 4.0, it could be another 2 years away, and by the time we get all the figures, it could be 3 years away before we see it, if they go to a 2 or 3 year cycle.
I've heard the term 4.0 used already by a big name. It's going to happen. It's going to happen sooner than 2 years. And maybe it might happen later than the usual formula, which is cool. But it's going to happen sooner. And what direction they're going to take in 4.0, that's the question right there. Because obviously they've already launched their 3 big giant properties. I mean, technically we haven't really seen the classics with Disney, so maybe they might go in that direction, or give us a taste at least. Maybe we'll see a taste of Disney Afternoon. I doubt it, but that would be cool. I know a Sora figure would be awesome. I would love one. I doubt that's the direction they're going to take. I don't think they're going to turn Disney Infinity into Kingdom Hearts. I just think they're just going to keep using the new properties that they have, and they're going to keep promoting those. But I'll tell you this much: if they ever make a King Mickey figure, which I highly doubt they will, in even the Sora, I will do an entire show. I don't know with I don't know what to say with a group mask on or looking like Sora. I don't know. I'll do it because I just doubt it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I doubt it. But anyways, that's my take on it.
The only thing I had this thought the other day, and I was thinking, what if like this year's starter pack is a brand new disc with all of these stuff like Battlegrounds and maybe Alice in Wonderland and a few other playsets all loaded onto the disc as kind of like an updated starter pack for this year, because I did wonder, like, there's going to be so much out on that shelf with 6, 7 playsets this year. It's going to be a lot to kind of do. I don't know what you think on that, Spencer.
I feel like you risk burning not only consumers but retailers at that, because from the retailer's perspective, why? I mean, I guess in this hypothetical situation you bring up, like, what price point do you think they'd charge it at? Like what, like 100 if they're including all that stuff?
No, it's the same price because I just want to make sure people have got it out there and just have a second pinch of the pie. I don't know. It's just very odd. I think the whole Toys to Life category is changing so fast, and now there's so much going on. The rules are having to be changed because that same Skyland. Look at what happened to Skylanders. 5 starter packs in a row, and the 5th one was just not hitting it because people were burned out after 5 years. And I think Disney Infinity are online to do that same thing if they keep just churning it and churning it out the same way they were.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah, go away first.
Sorry, there's a delay with 3 different time zones. I mean, I agree with that. It's definitely a way to look at it as far as, you know, people burning out. My only question is you have to keep it fresh and relevant, and you know, they still, regardless of, you know, you want to look at price points and everything, they still make money selling these starter packs. I mean, yeah, they make the most off of selling, you know, just the figures alone and all the other stuff, but they still make money. And if it's a working formula, I mean, they did sell the most during Black Friday and all. You know, they were the highest selling in general between all the Toys of Life. So it's like, you know, if it's working, it's working. You know, why stop doing the starter packs? Then you also got to keep in mind people who are new to the game. You got to introduce them into the game with the starter pack. You kind of don't want to do it with old stuff. You might want to do it with new. You know what I mean? I do see it possible have a new starter pack, but it's still 3.0. It's still Disney Infinity 3.0, but it's something else. Like you said, it could be Alice in Wonderland. Hey, it could be Finding Dory or something. You know, it's gonna be the popular stuff out there. But the point being is, I don't see them giving up on starter packs anytime soon. You know what? I don't think the developers care about the retailers' shelf space, because that's the retailer's problem. You know what I mean? Once they get it, when Toys R Us says give us, you know, so many units, they're like, all right, have fun, guys. Don't worry about it. Here's a way you can display it. Here's a little demo, but that's it. After that, it's up to the retailer. That's just my take. Spencer?
No, I mean, I totally get it, and I mean, I've even talked to you a bunch before about, like, what did I call, like Disney Infinity 3.5 or whatever. Right. Just like this idea to just kind of not even like what Roger was saying in terms of just put it out there with more content, to just like revitalize it, like almost to just kind of like bring it to the attention of consumers who may have like heard about it but weren't like the biggest Star Wars fan, and like we didn't have any other options besides Star Wars for like a launching. And if you're not crazy about Infinity, like that's why I was amazed that there wasn't anything like that for Battlegrounds. Like the fact that they didn't just release like the starter set but with the one Captain America figure or maybe something else, and then just like call it 3.5 or whatever. Like, I mean, I'm not even like kidding when I say I'm like coming from a collector's mentality, like just to have that really big like starter box and a different like thing that says Disney Infinity 3.5 or whatever, like I would have rebought that for $60 even though the disc was like the same thing all over again, just because like I enjoy like having these like nice big collector boxes and stuff, and I like showing that kind of support to like Disney, saying like I like that you do these kind of things. But obviously that didn't happen, and if it didn't happen for Battlegrounds, I really don't think they're going to want to do that for Alice, just because I think if they really were like if they really had a lot of faith in Alice as a movie and as a property for Infinity, we wouldn't have them coming out in June. Do you know what I mean?
The only thing is, I was thinking this with if you look at, like, for example, a new video game that comes out that's $60, whatever. If you take, so let's take Alice in Wonderland as an example. Say they have Alice in a playset, and you have Time, and you also have Mad Hatter, and there might even be a third or fourth figure if maybe possible. Right. So you've got $20-$30 for the playset. You've got, so you put them all together, you may be looking at $40 to $50 for the whole thing. Well, that's not much off of a brand new video game anyway. So every time, when The Force Awakens came out, we had a $40 playset. We had a couple of extra figures, so that's a $60, $70 investment. Every time, if you buy all the figures in the playset, you are essentially buying another game. When they're launching Lego Avengers, if you actually look at the price of all the things for each property, there's not a lot of difference in the price between all of them. So if you looked at it like with Disney Infinity, they've had 5 playsets. That is 5 separate video game prices coming in. So each time they bring out these playsets and these figures, it is like releasing a brand new video game in terms of the money that they can bring back in potentially through those things. So it's not just the starter pack bringing in the money. Each playset and figures after that bring in, Disney Infinity is not just about that single purchase. And I think the starter pack, I think it's got confusing. I know I've been standing there at the supermarket, and the kids are there shouting, and the parents are going, no, and the kids are going, no, we can only have 2.0. We can't have the. I think getting to one initial game will make the whole process easier for parents with having one number. I think if you're standing in the shop and you've got 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, it's going to get mental for people to try and work it all out.
Well, the only problem is the damage is already done. I mean, the fact that we already have 3 versions of this game, we can't go back. We can't play 2.0 in 3.0. We can't play 1.0 in 3.0. Or vice versa. You can't play 3.0 in 1.0 or 3.0 and 2.0. It's not gonna, because the damage is already set. Point is, if you bring out a 4.0, it's not going to change anything. It would be great if we had one game that it all worked together, which is everybody's hopeful that LEGO Dimensions is that game, because they're saying you'll never need a new starter pack. I highly doubt it. Anyways, my point is this. You're going to have new content every game. A game always evolves. And Roger and I, especially Roger, you've brought this up several times before in other webcasts, is when you want to play Assassin's Creed, you don't really go back and play your older Assassin's Creed. You play in the new one because you can't, it'd be cool to have access to your old stuff, but let's say you did, you would rarely go there because the new stuff has the good stuff. And so I highly doubt that will happen. If they stay at 3.0 from now on, they're never ever going to change it, and they keep evolving it with DLC, that's cool, but that can only last for so long.
Yeah.
And as far as Alice in Wonderland and playsets go, and you're talking about the cost and bringing in playsets, this is another thing that you guys have to think about, and we can bring this back to 1.0, is that there are so many things you can do in gaming, but you have to be selective. The thing with Disney is, like, they're a huge entertainment company, and they have so many studios and so many locations where they can film, animation, live action, all that stuff. Unfortunately, in a video game, you only have such set budget where you have to be selective. And I don't think Alice in Wonderland would be the place that they would go for. I honestly think, they have four different studios that are working on playsets, 4 different studios, some that are working on expansion games. So you can only be selective as far as what places we're going to get. Now, as far as budget goes, I mean, you got to think about it. Remember 1.0? It was either Frozen or The Lone Ranger. They had to choose one because of the budget, and obviously they don't have, just like movies. Well, here's the thing. Movies cost money to make. So do video games. Now, a lot of people that don't think about, I'm not talking about just money costs, time. These things cost a lot of time. You can't just program a game easily just by saying, oh, there's a new movie. Not to mention Disney, who likes to follow movie plots. Let's not talk about Force Awakens. But they like to follow movie plots. If they're going to make a playset with Alice in Wonderland, they're going to want to follow something similar to it. I like their agenda when they use Pixar or when they tell different stories. They tell continuations or a new version. I like that idea. I don't care if they replicate what happened in the movie.
Mm.
Give me a new story. I'll take that. But if they're gonna follow live action movies, they're gonna want to stick to it, and that's the only issue in my opinion. Spencer.
But anything you want to add on that one?
I think you bring up a good point. The only thing I would say that I disagree with at all in terms of what you're saying, though, Abe, is I think while you did say it's too little, too late because the whole skew thing with 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. I do have to like remind everybody that it's never too late for them to just ditch last gen. Like it's never too late for them to just be like, hey guys, up until let's say Alice in Wonderland. We will no longer be supporting the Wii U version, cough cough NX, PS3, or 360 version of Disney Infinity. We appreciate those platforms, but we want to keep growing the game. Blah 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 blah. Make it better. Don't have to have so many like limitations and stuff for the PS4 version that we know wouldn't have to be there if the other versions didn't exist. And I think once they do that, if they really are serious and Disney like allows them to kind of like become this unified platform like Lego wants to be and like they've talked about wanting to be before, then I don't see anything in the next 12 months stopping them from dropping those platforms 6 months from now, and then 6 months after that making 3.0, whether it be with a patch, one last final disc version, dropping the numbers, making it a platform. Infinity, that's the platform. Keep going on in the future. Like, numbers are good until a certain point, but you don't want to be the Final Fantasy of Disney Infinity. We don't want to be sitting here at 10.0 going like, oh man, a Star Wars Episode 12 playset's going to be great.
I think as far as dropping next gen, I think choice of life categories tend to be the last one to ditch out because they're very family focused and you are the last to jump out. I would quite like the idea that if they're going to do, I'd rather they would allow to go right. Okay, 3.0. Say 3.0 is the last of the current gen for the X, but we do a 2-3 year life spike cycle, and spend that time. So when 4.0 comes out, maybe in 2-3 years time, on next gen, then the game has had a massive overhaul rather than this, because the game's going to need an overhaul because that toy box is going to get dull if they just keep doing it, because 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, I mean, I have said this, that toy box is starting to feel a bit samey because we've been in there for years. They're going to need to upgrade it. They're going to need to do more than just keep adding new toys and spline tools and little features. They are going to need a massive overhaul on that toy box eventually. Can't keep just giving us the same toy box and just random play sets indefinitely. They're going to have to upgrade the whole system. And like I say, dropping next gen, I can't see it for a few years until they've got. I mean, I think the the NX and all the rest of it will probably make the Wii U drop off quite quick. But I can't. I think they're going to be like. I mean, Skylanders are still doing a Wii version. I don't know what you think on that.
You do bring up a good point, and Roger, I actually want to ask both of you guys this, because Roger, you actually brought up a really good point, and I almost feel dumb for not thinking about this. Is that I've been coming at platform the totally wrong way, and you know what? Because 360 is the best-selling version of Infinity, whether it be 1, 2, and 3. It's always been that way. How would you guys feel, and I guess more importantly, how do you guys think the audience would feel, is if they took the toy box version out going in for the Wii U, 360, and PS3, and made it a strictly play box and expansion experience? So maybe say cut $20 off of it. They know toy box isn't in there, but if you just want those single player experiences every 3 months or so, this is the place where you can do that. But if you want toy box and you want all these like more like detailed features and like more intense things like that, that's where you'd go with the current gen.
The only way that'll work is if they made playsets longer with way more content. Because unfortunately, the only thing that's keeping the price point the same is the fact that, when you're finished with the playset, you just unlocked all these toys in the playset that you can use in the toy box now. And then you have these expansion games that you can do, and so that not to mention all the toy box artists who spend a lot of time, they create some awesome downloadable content that kids could download and use. You know what I mean? So it's that toy box per se keeps them there. If they remove it entirely, I I don't know. I think that this is exactly what Roger's talking about. If they do, it needs to be some new revolutionary updated version, because if they remove it completely and just keep it just to playsets like that, there's going to be a lot of dead space in between launches of these playsets. And it just
Well,
goes back
remember
to what I was
that's
talking.
only for last gen. Current gen would still have the toy box and everything.
Well, here's the thing that I was going to say about last gen. I think it will fix everything, and maybe they'll hate me by saying this, but I honestly slightly agree with both Roger and you in the sense that they shouldn't ditch last gen, but I also think they should stick the good stuff into the new gen. And the reason why I say that is I'm going to bring up one thing. Everybody remember 1.0 and you had 3DS version? Completely different game, yet you still used your figures. They need to do something just like that for the next gen, and the new gen has the big perks.
Well,
The only reason why I say that, is only for the game. The game is being limited by the older stuff, and I get it. This is a family platform. Younger kids have the older stuff. It would be kind of cheating them out in a sense for the game. But maybe if they toned it down a bit and made it a slightly different version and sold that for that. I mean, they already kind of do that anyways. Like, look at the hub. The hub misses a lot of things in the next gen versions as opposed to the new gen. So if they did something similar, like limit the amount of toys, just cut it significantly. Maybe make they can make the playsets longer, and then it'll work perfectly on new gen and old gen.
Yeah.
But that's just my take.
The only thing I was going to actually throw into that was, I actually wonder if it's not maybe I mean, we're looking at like Wii U and Xbox. Oh, they're holding. I personally think it's more like the iPads and the Androids that are holding the game.
Oh, that too,
toy
yeah.
box back. That's what's holding the whole toy box area back. And this one thing fits all is great, but games are, I think Call of Duty took out a huge chunk of the game on the old consoles because it couldn't keep up. And I think we are going to see more of this. These consoles, they are not going to, I think they're going to be around for a little bit longer. But, the new consoles are going to be here for another 5-6 years. They're not going to go anywhere. But that old gen has to go. And like I said before, I would prefer them to say, right, we are going to do 3.0 for another 18 months. We're going to, and next summer, we're going to launch on, but I don't think they're going to do it because I think there's too much money to be made on families. This is not that game. This is still, I think, until they're literally dusting off it took what it took them to stop on the Wii and how much hate they got for stopping the Wii. And people still come and go, well, I brought a Wii 25 years ago and I still want to play on it. Why can't I play the new Grand Theft Auto? It's dropping stuff is great, but I think why we've still got these being controlled by it, this is what the problem is. These things are trying to fit Infinity onto an iPhone and giving us the same experience on an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4. That's what's causing the toy box issues being held back, I think.
No, that makes sense. It makes sense the fact that unfortunately this whole paying for the experience, like for additional things, like whether it be candy or gems or whatever, it could equate to like DLC for big games in a sense, where you just pay for little mini micro purchases add up to a lot of money, and it makes sense as to why they would want to keep it on platforms like that. You can see a big company like Nintendo finally saying, hey, we're starting to not make as much on our portable device. Even though they still make good money, they're losing out on the mobile devices. So hey, let's transfer over there as well. Give them content there too. So it makes sense. But as far as Disney Infinity as a game, the way it was built, as this toy box, I still remember to this day this little marketing video that shows John Lasseter talking about it's like Andy playing with his toys. That's exactly like Toy Story 3 came out, that video game, and it shows this little sandbox mode. That is the meat and potatoes of this game, and as long as it sticks to it and it improves, then it's great. I honestly think the improving of that, unfortunately, is being limited by the Wii and the Xbox 360, the PS3, and even these things. They're being limited to that. So maybe if they decided to release a different game, not every game on consoles are available on these things, or on the Wii, or on the. I mean, Battlefront is only on the new gen stuff, correct?
Yeah.
You know, like
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what I mean. Like, unfortunately, they're gonna have to do it. I mean, yeah, I get it. Like, Skylanders stays behind and helps out the Wii and everything, but their biggest market is the small, the younger child and everything. Disney has a huge wide spectrum of fans. I mean, they have way many adults that are into this game, as opposed to Skylanders, where they have a small number of adults who are into the game. And it just makes sense. Everybody's on new gen. New gen is the way to go. And to be honest with you, again, no disrespect to Xbox 360 is where I started my Infinity days. And Spencer said something earlier that the best way to experience it is on 360. I'm gonna disagree with you. I think it's
No,
I think it's
no,
sold the
definitely
most.
not.
Yeah, no.
new gen.
Yeah, it's always sold the best. I would never say play it on 360.
Oh, sold the best is what you said.
Yeah, yeah.
My mistake.
Yeah,
my mistake.
it's always sold the
Yeah.
best on Xbox.
Okay, then I'll take it back. Yes, okay, then I'll take that. As far as playing better though, new gen all the way.
I think it's definitely this thing of the video game industry is changing. It's going to, they are leaving the bricks and mortar stores. The Disney Infinity is still very much locked into that because of the toys, and so they're in toy shops and all the rest of it. So therefore they're in a different model. But games are changing. I only just the weekend I've been playing the Hitman beta because it's changing. That's even just going to be digital for the first year, I think, because the whole industry is changing around digital and DOC, and the old going into GameStop and stuff. That is disappearing, and that is going to keep changing. But the toys keep buying people, but they can put them in. They put them in the supermarkets. They can get them out to people. They don't need the game stores. They're not in that same category anymore. But the whole industry is changing, and I think they need a slight separate version for the mobile version. Needs to be almost a different. Trying to put this whole game onto a console, onto the iPhone. I think it's holding everything. I think it's just holding it all back. I know you don't have the play sets on there, but it has to run the same. The toy boxes that you build in on the PlayStation have to. It just doesn't. It doesn't seem right that I know in theory that it should work, but it doesn't.
Let me just add one thing to that. I honestly think the going to your technology stores, your separate game stores, that's going to stick around a little bit longer for us in the States. I mean, I know in the UK you can go buy a carton of milk and a video game at the same time, and technically you can out here with your Walmarts and your Targets, but here there's something about going to technology stores in general, or even just GameStops, like just game stores, or like a Toys R Us alone, just toys and stuff. Like, there's something about those type of stores that something about us Americans like to do that stuff. So that's all I can say. But as far as whether we're going to go all digital at one point or whatnot, as long as people keep buying, movies and Blu-rays, DVDs, all that stuff, and music CDs, those stores will stick around. Until they all go digital, it's going to be like Tower Records out here. They're just going to disappear. But until then...
Oh, that's a deep cut, eh?
It's true. It's true.
But I mean, it's true. Yeah.
Until video games become like iTunes, until it becomes like that, they're gonna be around. They're still gonna be around for a while.
Especially like over here, like our main video game store, Game. They've nearly gone bankrupt twice. They've already gone back. They've already gone. Once they've go, there will be no video game stores on this high street, and they've already closed half the stores. The supermarkets have come in. All the CD and DVD shops. You go into the high street now, into the main city centres. You don't see it. The only time you see it is in supermarkets because they've taken over that area. Like you say, things like H&V and stuff, they're the last single shop standing in a lot of places, and they've already gone bust and been relaunched. The whole industry has changed, and I think Disney Infinity is in a great position because they've got the toys, so they're in the Toys R Us, they're in the Smiths, they're in they're in those different locations where people go to buy toys. And I think that's the big difference with them. They've been able to stretch out away from just the traditional video game market. So that is a great thing. And I think, like you said, it's all changing. And I think it's definitely been an interesting kind of discussion going through all of this.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's pretty much going to wrap up this week's show. I think Abe's got one thing you want to add.
I think we missed one thing. Wasn't there like a price point change as well?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that was a quick thing. It's kinda-
Battlegrounds now.
Yeah, Battlegrounds is now down to like $20 in the US. Seems to be going across all of the different retailers. Nothing over here, unsurprisingly. There's not really. We didn't get the 2.0 characters, and we're not getting the price cut. So there we go. So I'm kind of not feeling this same kind of Battlegrounds is nice, and it's like no, it's still not quite the same here.
Well,
But
I'll tell
yeah,
you.
it looks like it's a massive thing.
I'll tell you this much. Hopefully, when they do announce that these figures are coming, like I said, February 22nd, that's my guess. But when they do announce that they're coming,
Abe just wants the free playset I offered.
maybe they'll finally announce the price points as well. Like I mean, first of all, this whole pay this $30 and get a figure that you already had a year ago for free. That whole thing doesn't work out. So hopefully when they do finally give us a press release of these new figures coming, they'll also say, oh, by the way, the game is also just $19.99. Yeah. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, but no, it definitely. I think the price point. I think throwing in that free 2.0 figure was a little bit of a was maybe a react. Great for after the event. That was a good sell point to non-Marvel pickups. Pre-orders wasn't worth the effort because it wasn't the right audience to need it. It wasn't. They weren't the ones they were after. That was not the audience. If you put Marvel Battlegrounds out and after the event you had it in the stores, pick this up and you get this free figure, that would have encouraged people. You're not going to get pre-orders for people that like Infinity. That was the wrong audience, and I think that was the problem with that order. And it was. I still think it was done as a we're putting the price up, but here's a freebie to kind of dumb the pain a little bit to get you guys used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think, like I said, I think that's pretty much going to wrap up this episode because we are on DisKingdom podcast this week. Us three are going to be discussing the new Deadpool movie, so it's going to be slightly a bit different tone on that one. But anyway, guys, I'd like to thank you all guys for joining us. Big thank you for Spencer for joining us on this show. Great to have sort of different.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, cheers. And if you haven't already done so, remember to check us out on Facebook and Twitter, and also to keep up with us on iTunes as well. You can subscribe there and give us a review. That would be great, and give us some stars and stuff. That would be good. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, comment below with what your guys think of this. It's always great to have some feedback. And also for patrons, big thank you to Ethan over at sortedapps.com and Magic Baron Collectors for being this month's sponsor, and also just a big thank you to all of our other patrons as well for helping support us. I think that pretty much wraps it up. Hopefully, like I said, we're loving the fact we're getting news and kind of Disney Infinity stuff to talk about, but definitely great. So big thank you for everyone. Just let everyone say goodbye.
Yeah, see you later, guys. Thanks, Ethan. And yeah, as always, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go enjoy some chimichangas.
Thanks for watching. And now I'm wanting at 2 a.m. Mexican food. Thanks, Abe.
Yeah, all right.
On that note, we'll see you in the later episode. Laters.